of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
You're watching INCRadio.
Hello. Welcome to INC Radio, Central Valley, California. Music isn't something we just talk or listen to. It's something that we live and something that we breathe. From popular tunes to sentimental serenades, music touches the hearts of all listeners. Music speaks volumes to listeners of all ages and backgrounds. And in this episode, we'll be discussing how music connects the hearts of many, no matter what era or what language, giving listeners another way to be tuned in to everything Valley grown. So please do remember Central Valley, California episodes are every Friday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is every Friday night Pacific Standard Time. Of course, tonight I am not alone. I am here with my wonderful co-host. It's her very first time co-hosting. Jill, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I was a guest last week, so now I am co-hosting. So it is my pleasure and honor to be back here. So thank you so much.
Alrighty, thank you so much, Jill. Again, thank you so much for being a part of INC Radio. We always love having you on here, so I'm really happy and glad that you're our co-host for tonight. So let's give a round of applause for our very own Jill in the comments. And of course, we have our very own Samantha, if you would like to introduce yourself as our very lovely panelist for tonight.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm from the local of Riverbank. I'd say it's it's a pleasure to be on here tonight, and I'm excited to talk about music.
Yes, of course. I mean, who doesn't love music? From any upbeat tunes or something like classical, it's always a good thing to listen to. Jill, if you don't mind me asking, like, what are your favorite genres of music to listen to?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's really hard for me to just pick one type of genre because I love and appreciate music. As you said, who doesn't love music? It just all depends on how I'm feeling at that time, if I'm feeling sad or happy or whatever. But I love and appreciate all forms of music.
Yes, of course. I feel like I'm the same exact way. I feel like it depends what I'm listening to. How about you, Jill? Or I'm sorry, Sam, what kind of genres of music do you like listening to?
For me, I usually bounce around different genres, but I'm pretty biased right now because I do play this genre, but right now it's classical music.
Oh, I love classical music. I was in orchestra when I was younger, so I definitely have a soft spot when it comes to classical music. All right, so without any further ado, let's get into our discussion for the current generation of music. So our first question for this evening, why do you think music has such a strong emotional pull on people? I'll go ahead and ask Sam.
I think music has a strong emotional pull because it reminds people memories from the past, a specific memory, like a certain person too, and a rhythm of a song, a melody, or even the lyrics can play with the emotions of a person, which can remind them it builds a connection to a certain object. For me, my winter guard, because I do winter guard or color guard, our show, it was basically an emotional show that we got the audience to interpret whatever they wanted the theme to appear to them, which I think is pretty cool because the coaches also told us to interpret the theme as what we wanted it to. And another thing is the melody of a song or piece in classical music, it can also like help the audience like feel the moment, and it can also play with their emotions too.
Yes, absolutely. I love that answer. I feel like music allows for a lot of emotion to be evoked, whether like you're listening to like a sad song with like in a minor key or like a happy song in a major key. Um, Music has that power to really pull emotions from you. What do you think about that, Jill?
Yeah, I absolutely agree with both of your answers. So with music, I feel like it's definitely more than just listening, right, to the beats and tones of the sound of the music, but it's more of a feeling, and that's what allows us to really relate to the types of music that's out there, because it allows us to express our emotions through music. So I love that. That's a great question, which also is a great way and segue into our next question. So I'd love to ask you, Sam, how does music help people process emotions like grief, joy, or anger?
From my experience, music helps me process emotions by I can express it with my playing, especially because I play an instrument. I can express my emotion, like whether I'm feeling sad, it's more of like a legato tone. If I'm feeling more happy, um I play like more upbeat and like more bouncy. And the type of music plays a big role in it, because say that like you're feeling down, you obviously want to listen to like a more sad genre instead of a more like upbeat, because that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great answer. What about you, Caitlin?
I think music allows for a type of release to happen. I mentioned it last week in our episode about personal growth, that bottling up your emotions isn't good for you. So music allows for people to embrace what you're feeling and feel those emotions instead of holding them in. Like a sad song or a happy song can help you like feel relieved, or an upbeat song might help you feel good about yourself, or it can just give you a boost of energy basically.
Absolutely. Yes, I completely agree with that. It's definitely a great way to express ourselves in ways that we can't even express just through, talking and things like that. So, yeah, absolutely. Great answer.
All right, this goes into our next question, which is pretty interesting. Sam, I'll ask you first. How do you think music influences our behavior or decision making?
Um, I think really um it it wait, can you repeat the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course. How do you think music influences our behavior or the way we make decisions?
Oh, it can make me be more productive, like more productive behavior. And like it helped me be motivated to do something, and more upbeat can like help me make more impulsive decisions on the spot.
Of course, of course. I think for me, like I can see how music influences our behavior or decision making. Like for example, like when we go into like the stores, we hear like upbeat music playing, and it makes us want to buy things like way quicker. Like, oh, this is a great upbeat song. I'm gonna get this off the shelf, and then I'm gonna get this off the shelf. I'm gonna get this off the rack. Or even like in waiting rooms or in elevators, like we hear like calming, relaxing music to kind of calm our nerves in a sense, so we're not as nervous. Or like lyrics can help you have that boost of confidence. What do you think about that, Jill?
That's so funny you mentioned that, Caitlin, because now I'm wondering, maybe that's why I start to buy more things and I'm a happier person when I'm shopping, because of the music that's in the background. I'm like, oh, that looks good. I'll take this. But yes, this is such a relatable question, because I feel like even when I'm driving, if I'm listening to something a little bit more like calmer and softer, I'm just like cruising along, as opposed to if I'm listening to something a little bit more upbeat, I'm like 10 on 2, really focus on the road, obviously safe. But yeah, it definitely is such a relatable question. And music does, obviously, influence our behaviors depending on the tones and how we're feeling and things like that. So,
Yes, of course. And I think that's a good segue into our comments. Jill, what do you see in our Vine chat right now?
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to see what we're seeing down the pipeline in our comments. So we do have from the locale, from Rosie, hello everybody. We have Delano, we have Santa Maria. We also have, let's see, Bakersfield. So hello everybody from these locales of Central Valley. So thank you for tuning in.
Alrighty, I can read a couple more. From Gemma Estrella, it says, whenever I have to go to work early in the morning, I have to play upbeat music for me to get energized and awake for work. I totally agree with that. I work with kids, so I really need to make sure that I'm listening to really happy, upbeat music to get me in that right mindset. From our very own Melvi Tamayo, she was asking, what's your favorite kind of music? Mark Maranko, our very own, he said, my favorite kind of music is classical punk rock, remix of classical music written for pop punk artists. Whoa, that was like a tongue twister type of comment. Thank you, Mark, for that tongue twister comment. All right, do you see anything else, Jill?
I think you covered everything. Yeah, that's great.
All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and continue our discussion for music as a way for communication. And I'll go ahead and ask Sam this. How would you describe music as a language? What do you think it sometimes communicates that words sometimes cannot?
How I describe music as a language, I feel like it's a if there's no lyrics, it's like a non-verbal type of language. Like, have you guys ever watched those old movies where there's like no people speaking, it's just like music?
Yes.
I actually like didn't find it like kind of cool that like music can like be a way to express emotions without even being verbal about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it does really communicate expressions without words.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I feel like when we think of music, most of the time we're thinking about the specifics of the words or the lyrics, but a lot of the time it's instrumental. So I think everyone agrees that it's, in a way, a nonverbal way of expression. Without words, we can still feel happy and sad and everything in between. Like, simply when we hear those musical notes, it could even be a way to transcend language, like when we listen to songs in French, when we listen to things like K-pop. We may not understand what they're saying, but we can tell, like, oh, like, this is a happy song or this is a sad song. And I really think it's a beautiful way of connection. What do you think, Jill?
Definitely. I completely agree with both of your answers. So I feel like music is definitely, like I said, it's more than just listening, right? It's a feeling, it's an emotion, it's something that we deeply have a sensory. It's something that we all can relate to overall as human beings. We all have emotions, we all have these sensations, and it's just a great way to express ourselves through music. It allows us to, without getting too scientific about it, I feel like it activates something within our brain that triggers from like past memories and just allows us to really feel something, through the tones of music. So I would love to ask Sam, actually. So have you ever had an experience where music spoke to you more clearly than any conversation could?
Yes, actually, whenever like I'm alone and I really need to like get my emotions out without like talking to anyone when I don't feel like interacting, I usually listen to music to like express those emotions, like try to help me like calm down. It's like kind of like a coping mechanism for me when I'm feeling a little sad.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you so much for sharing. I feel like we relate to music a little bit more when it's, when we're experiencing something that's a little bit more deeper. For example, when we're a little bit more sad and, emotional, I would say, that's kind of a way for us to feel the song. And I feel like, artists or the best-selling artists are the ones that have actually gone through what they're speaking about and what they're singing about, because you can actually, even though we don't know what they were going through in that moment, through their music, I feel like we can actually relate because of it seems so relatable and it just seems so real at that time. What about you, Caitlin?
Yes, I completely agree. I love what you said about the artists when they kind of take you or the listeners onto this journey with them, when they're singing about their experiences, when they're singing about the happy times or the sad times, they're really evoking those emotions out of you. I feel like, especially now for me, as I'm finishing up school, I've been listening to a lot of songs and music that I've listened to when I was like younger. And in a way, it's kind of like I've been thinking about my old self and just reflecting on how much I've changed. And I feel like music in that way is just speaking to me. And I know music speaks a lot to a lot of other people as well. Have you ever had that moment, Jill, where you're listening to a song and you're like, oh my gosh, or oh my goodness, it's making me feel this type of way, or this is transcending like language in a way?
Definitely. I feel like music just kind of takes us back. It like I said, it just kind of activates and triggers a moment or memory. Like you said, it allows you to reflect on ways from how you were before, or maybe like a past memory. It just kind of takes you back into that moment of you may not remember every little detail, but then you know how you were feeling in that moment. And it just kind of gives you a feeling like nostalgia or just happy feelings. And it just like releases that dopamine or feel good moments. So I can definitely relate. So yeah.
Yes, of course. I love that. So I would like to move on to our next question. Do you believe music is a universal language? And Jill, I'll actually start with you. How do you think music is a universal language?
Sure. Yeah. So I definitely believe that music is a universal language. The reason why is because even if you may not, let's say, know the lyrics or know the language that's in a, for example, in English, if there's a song that I'm hearing that's not even in English, I can always tell that it's either a happy song or a sad song. So, with different types of musics out there, it could be upbeat. I can always tell that it's happy. And it all kind of ties into our cultural backgrounds as well. So I feel like different cultures have their different sounds of music. And it allows you to, kind of ties into, just different heritages back in the day. So yeah. What about you, Sam?
I do agree that it is a universal language, because I feel like it makes people feel more connected with each other, especially if they like the same genre. And I think also because how music like diffuses to other parts of the world, say like, for example, K-pop, right? It diffused to the whole world by like a contagious diffusion and more like relocation diffusion from the country of origin to the different parts.
I love that. Those are both beautiful answers. I feel like we mentioned, like music can be in a completely different language, but we can still understand the emotions that it is trying to portray, even though we don't understand it. Again, it's universal. When we hear those sad melodic tones or like happy major tones, it reaches a part of our soul. It reaches a part of our heart. It's not understood. It's understood across cultures, as Jill said. It communicates what words can't really express, like that emotion, the connection. Basically, the human experience. Every human has felt music, even though maybe some can't even listen to it, but they can feel it. Across time, music has played a role in so many heritages, in so many. It connects families in so many ways. I think music is a beautiful thing. What do you think about that, Sam?
I really think it is a beautiful thing because it's a type of art. It's how people express themselves and how people connect with each other and relate to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually brings up a good point. So now that I think about it, it's also like babies, right? Babies can also respond to different types of music and lullabies. So even though they can't speak, they do respond to music. So, babies can respond to lullabies before they even understand language. A sad melody can move people across cultures. That sad, cultural context can shape musical meaning. what sounds joyful in one culture may not be in another, but emotionally also, music also bridges human experiences more than it divides it. So I think it culturally connects us in a way altogether.
I love that, how you said music is kind of like a bridge for other people to connect with each other. I absolutely love that answer. We still have some time to spare, so we're gonna go ahead and hop into our Vine chats, and I will go ahead and read some of our comments first, and then I'll pass it back over to Jill. From Mario Oka, good day here in the Philippines. Enjoy watching here on INCRadio, Central Valley, California, satellite studio. Greetings from local of Brixtonville, district of Caloocan North. Mario Oka is one of our very avid watchers, so thank you so much, Mario, for tuning in. We have Lawrence De La Cruz. Hello, everyone. Happy viewing from the local of Delano, district of Central Valley. We have one from Ray Cadiz. Good evening to all of the brethren in Central Valley, California. Azure Fajardo said classical music. Classics are beautiful music, but music to be rendered to our mighty God is the best. I absolutely love that answer. What do you see in the comments, Jill?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely a form of worship. I see a lot of people from all over our district. So thank you so much for all the support from all over California. Really, really appreciate everybody for tuning in. We have Sister Nellie. We also have from Quezon City, all out in the Philippines. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And yeah, I will pass it over back to you, Caitlin.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jill, for looking at our comments with me. To kind of, I guess, for our big question of the show, how does music keep all of us connected? I feel like we kind of answered that along the show, but I'd like to formally ask it. How does music keep us connected? We'll start with Sam.
I feel like it makes us feel connected by the way how it relates everyone's feelings to each other, like how a certain song can make different people feel the same way.
Yeah, I love that. How about you, Jill? How do you think music can help us stay connected?
The way I feel like music can help us feel connected is one, by shared emotional experiences, collective memories, also breaking languages and cultural barriers and group participation. So, singing together, we could, playing instruments in a band together. If you don't speak, even if you don't speak the same language, you can feel the same song's emotions. Collectively, like we mentioned, in cultural movements, personal memories, things like that. And then also, like I said, shared emotional experience. I feel like when people listen to the same song, they often feel similar emotions, such as joy, sadness, nostalgia. The shared emotional resonates, creates unity within us. So I feel like that's how we can all connect through music.
Yeah, of course. I feel like music helps us stay connected to ourselves and our memories. Kind of circling back what we were talking about in general, a certain melody can bring you back to a person or a memory of loved ones, remind you of where you were in a particular part of your life. It creates the bridges, like you were mentioning earlier, helping us revisit like people, places, things. It's an emotional language, as we mentioned, one that kind of, I guess, transcends language, transcends time. And I think music is a beautiful way to keep us connected, like what both of you have mentioned.
Yeah, and also a way to it allows us to feel seen or understood. I feel like there are so many ways or so many times where I can't really express how I'm feeling at the time, but then I'll listen to a song and it just completely articulates everything that I'm feeling. Like when a song expresses what I'm feeling, sometimes it feels like, someone's up to it feels like they know or are with me at that moment, even if they've never met me. It's just like a very powerful connection, and knowing that you're not alone in how you feel.
Absolutely. Music can absolutely connect us in that way. You're not alone in your emotions. There's so many people around you who enjoy the same music as you, and kind of that could be a way to communicate with your emotions through music. And Sam, I'd actually like to ask you this question. How has music helped you communicate your emotions better?
For me, I really love listening to music. So I have like a handful of songs of how I feel like in that exact moment. And I tend to like share it throughout my social media platforms and stuff. It helps me like feel seen and like helps me really express my emotions.
Absolutely. I love that answer. How about you, Jill? How has music helped you share your emotions?
I feel like it helps me share my emotions every single day because I relate to so many, it's so relatable at any given time. I like to listen to music when, first thing in the morning or when I'm getting ready, or even if I'm just, making dinner, I listen to something a little bit more softer, more calming, just to kind of wind down the day after a long while. But I do have a bonus question for the both of you. So if you could think of your most favorite song, even if it's not all time, but something that resonates you, what does your favorite song say about who you are? So just kind of tying in last week's personal growth into this week's topic of music.
I'd like to answer that question first. There has been this one song that has been on repeat since it's the end of the school year and it's graduation season, and it's called Where'd All the Time Go? And some of the lyrics kind of include like, oh, like we're waving goodbye to our friends. The guitar riffs and the drums are very like, reminds me of the early 2000s, I guess, which is when I was born. So it's a very nostalgic type of song, and it allows me to reflect on all my past memories, all my school years as an elementary school student, all the way up till a college grad. And it's a really emotional song, and it allows me to reflect a lot. And I love a good reflection moment.
I love that. That's such a great answer. And it just kind of ties into, so congratulations on graduating. That's amazing. What about you, Sam? What is your favorite song or one of your favorite songs right now say about who you are?
For me, since recently I had my my last orchestra concert of the year, I really like the piece that is like playing in my mind 24/7 now is a combination of songs from La La Land. Um, I feel like it says like how much growth I've had since the beginning of the year, since I play double bass. So I started in 8th grade, and now I'm a freshman and I've improved so much. And it gave me like time to reflect like how much I've improved, and how I've grown in like better playing, better tuning, and it just takes me in awe because I never thought I'd get this far, and it makes me like feel more emotional since it's my last time performing with the seniors and last time performing with my section, since the other two are moving to chambers. So I feel like it um gives me like a more reminiscing feeling.
Alrighty, that about wraps up our show. Thank you, Sam, for that last answer to that question and being a part of our show tonight. We hope to see you in more shows, of course. And Jill, thank you so much for co-hosting with me this evening. And of course, thank you to the entire District of Central Valley, California for tuning in. We, of course, want to acknowledge our spiritual leaders, Brother Wally Tarai, our INC radio station manager, our CEBSI president and CFO coordinator, Brother Angelo Iranio V. Manalo, and above all, our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. Thank you so much for tuning in to INCRadio DCEM, Central Valley, California satellite station, and we'll see you next week, Friday at 9 p.m. Good night and stay safe, everybody.
Sa iglesia sila